Alright guys, we're doing stuff a little bit different today. I gotta do some location scouting for a shoot that my wife has tomorrow. She's coming back from out of town and stuff. So while we're doing that, I'm gonna show you guys why this Tamron 20-40 is the best everyday lens. Also say hi to baby girl. She's our 21-year-old cat. So yeah, first of all, we need to get changed from the gym because we sweaty and that ain't cool. So, all right, looking much better. Let's grab some cameras and head out. Also need to put on my shoes. Also, if you guys aren't carrying at least something, I'm not saying it has to be a gun or anything, but if you watch one of my videos, your boy got attacked, just have a little something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Remember, it's not to attack, but to defend yourself. This one's from Wesson. I saw them on TikTok. This is actually a really good quality knife, and I'm fairly impressed by it. It's simple, that's all you need. Stuff it in your pocket, never pay attention to it. It's the whole point. Anyways, now let's go. Alright, so as you can see, I am using this lens as much as possible to show you the versatility of how wide it can go versus how tight it can go. It just has a lot of range, even though it doesn't sound like that much. Like 24-70 is usually the go-to, which for like work and stuff like weddings, yes, normally the go. But I've noticed on the Sonys, if you're using active stabilization, that it crops in 1.1 times. So you're closer to like a 22-ish on this lens, as opposed to when you use a 24-70, you're more like a 25-26. So you do get more of that wide angle. And if you're like me and you're using on the ZVE1, if you use the dynamic active stabilization, which in my opinion is one of the best features on this camera, then you're gonna be shooting more like 24 because of like, I think it's a 1.3 or 1.4 times crop for it. So now that 20 like really wide becomes like extremely useful, and your handheld footage becomes like extra smooth, which I love. I don't like using gimbals, so it is what it is. So just to give you an idea of like how wide 20 mil is, this is wide. This is in my passenger seat, so maybe 2 feet from me. Not bad. Fills the whole frame. I can talk to it. You know, it feels like you guys are a little more with me. Just really down low. I don't have a high tripod for my car or anything, so this is 40. Keep in mind, stabilization is not activated right now, so there is no crop on this. So this is as wide and as tight as the lens naturally is. Just to keep that in mind. So this is the 20 mil with dynamic active on. You can see it's very stable. My Jeep is not a smooth riding car, so it's pretty smooth. But keep in mind like how much tighter this is. I'll show you a side-by-side right now. And it's a lot tighter, I will give you that, but it's so much smoother and it feels like I still have room. Like I still have some headroom here. I'm still the same distance from the camera, so it's nice. So some bad news and some good news. Bad news is they completely demoed the field that I was planning on shooting in. So that field is completely gone. So I'm gonna have to find something else. But I am working on like a photo book. That's one of my goals this year, and did find a really cool scene to shoot. So we're gonna go shoot that. So I guess one good thing. Alright, so this entire month I've just been shooting Kodak Gold, and it's been fun. I have yet to see any of the results I got, so I'm really hoping they turn out well, especially considering I'm shooting them inside of a new camera that I got, so fingers crossed. Can't even get this roll out right now. Got it. Yes, I know I have another new camera, but that's for another video. Right now we're talking about this lens. So obviously, like, the main perk of this lens is because it's tiny, it's compact, but the perk is that it's still a 2.8. And if you need any more range, they do have, like, I think it's a 17 to 50 f4, which if you need the range, obviously you gotta sacrifice like an f-stop or something. And I don't believe that lens is too much bigger than this one. I believe it's close to the APS-C 17 to 70 2.8, which would give you almost like a 24 to 105 f4 look. So I feel like this one for everyday use is just chef's kiss. It hits that sweet spot. You get your nice and wide like this. And when I need to tell you something serious, like I'm shooting Kodak Gold, you can punch in. Anyways, I found a cool scene. We're gonna shoot it. Okay, now that we're back in the office, let's wrap up this review. All right, to wrap things up, this is my normal office setup. It's the Fujifilm X-H2S with the 17 to 70 2.8 from Tamron as well. And I love this setup. I love the way everything looks in frame. Obviously shot in open gate right here, but I wish it was just a little bit wider, more like a 16 mil, but you get what you get. So if you're thinking like, what lens should I buy next? This over here is the 20 to 40, set to the same focal length as the Fujifilm. So if you're like me and you don't have a lot of space, like I'm an arm's length away from this, so I don't have a ton of room in here. The nice thing is this actually widens out even more. So if you're really trying to squeeze everything in and you have just a few feet, you can definitely make it work with this lens. Just to show you how much wider this is, I'm going to put the Fujifilm frame inside of this frame just so you can see how much more width and like height you get because you're so much wider on this. And I just feel like this lens is just an easy go-to. And the 2.8 just allows so much more light in to help you with that. The ZVE1 is already a low light monster. And paired with this lens, I just feel like this is just an easy do-it-all lens. And I feel like this should be a lot of people's first lens. It's great for documenting everyday life. It's good for taking photos. It's really sharp. I can't say enough about this lens. Now, obviously, there's going to be like your few cons, if you will, and those would probably be like there's no in-body image stabilization, but given the size of the lens, it's kind of like a no-brainer, like, duh, it's not stabilized, look how small it is. So if you're wondering how small the setup is, it's tiny. Like, In my opinion, I think this is one of the smallest zoom lenses you can get that is full frame and can just do a little bit of everything. Today I tried to show you everything that it can possibly be used for in office setting, vlogging, B-roll. Like, I've taken photos on this. I've even used it at a wedding. This lens is phenomenal, and I feel like it's kind of like a new standard, at least for Sony, because when you enter into that kind of active and dynamic stabilization, you do crop in, and being at 20 just kind of gives you just enough room to still capture a wide image and be stabilized handheld. And if you're like me, you're not a fan of gimbals, you just don't like the setup time and all of that stuff. You never know what could happen on a wedding day. And just to have that versatility, it's not the biggest zoom range in the world, but it can definitely work, especially on something like an A7R5, which is kind of what I've mainly been using it on, because you can still use the APS-C kind of crop even in video. So you can go all the way from as wide as 20 to roughly about 60, almost 70. So you get close to a 24-70, but you also have the wide end and that extra stabilization. And the nice thing is it's super lightweight. It doesn't take up any room on your kit. Like, you can run an entire wedding or even vlogging day with this setup. And yeah, that's pretty much my opinion. I feel like this is the new go-to first lens that I would recommend instead of a prime. A lot of people recommend primes right out of the gate, and yes, they are great. They're usually sharper and stuff, but usually when you're starting out, like, having versatility kind of wins over that because you're still getting used to things. And some people just want an everyday kind of lens that they can document their family with, vlog with, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like this lens is like the perfect fit for that. I just feel like you just can't go wrong with this lens. Easy pickup. And yeah, that's my review. And I'll see you guys in the next one.